Approaching someone you're interested in can feel daunting, especially when you're unsure if the feeling is mutual. Many women give subtle and sometimes not so subtle signs when they want a man to approach them. Being able to read these signs accurately can make all the difference between an awkward encounter and a successful connection. Here's 5 signs. She wants you to approach her. Number 1, she accidentally bumps into you or finds reasons to talk. Understanding when a woman is open to being approached can sometimes feel like navigating a subtle dance of nonverbal cues and indirect gestures, while some women may confidently initiate conversation. Others rely on more understated signals to express their interest. One of the most telling signs that a woman might want you to approach her is when she accidentally bumps into you or finds small, seemingly spontaneous reasons to strike up a conversation. This kind of interaction is rarely as accidental as it may seem when a woman goes out of her way to get close enough to make brief physical contact, like brushing shoulders or lightly nudging you in a crowd. It often serves as a non-threatening invitation to engage. It's a low-risk way for her to test the waters to see how you react and to subtly draw your attention without overtly putting herself on the spot. Also, these moments of physical proximity can create a brief shared experience, giving you a natural opening to respond with a smile, a friendly comment, or a lighthearted observation. In addition to physical cues, she may look for reasons to initiate casual interaction. Asking for help, for example, can be more than a practical request. It can be a strategic opportunity to engage, whether it's asking you to reach for something on a high shelf, inquiring about the time, or commenting on something happening nearby. These actions often serve a dual purpose on the surface. They seem routine, but underneath they can be an invitation to start a conversation. Furthermore, if she returns to your space after the first exchange, perhaps to clarify her question or make a follow-up remark, it's a strong indication that she's interested in continuing the interaction and possibly deepening the connection. These moments often occur in environments where casual conversation is socially acceptable, such as at a cafe and a bookstore, or during a social gathering. The context allows her to engage without feeling overly forward, while also giving you a chance to pick up on the subtle signals. Additionally, she may pair these efforts with other forms of body language, such as open posture, eye contact, or a warm smile, which further reinforce her interest. It's important to approach these situations with attentiveness and respect. Acknowledge the gesture without assuming too much too quickly. If she's seeking a connection, she'll likely be receptive to your response, offering more cues that show she's comfortable and open to further conversation. Conversely, if her demeanor shifts or she becomes less engaged, it's essential to respect that boundary ultimately. When a woman finds small ways to initiate contact, whether through a light touch or request for help or a passing comment, she may be signaling that she wants you to take the next step. These subtle gestures, while easy to overlook, can speak volumes when interpreted with care. By remaining observant and responsive, you create the space for a meaningful exchange to unfold. Number 2, her friends look at you, then whisper or giggle when trying to determine whether a woman wants you to approach her. One of the most telling yet often overlooked signs lies not just in her body language, but in the behavior of the people she's with, particularly her friends. If you happen to notice that her friends glance at you, then begin whispering among themselves or giggling shortly after, this could be more than just idle chatter. This subtle group dynamic can speak volumes, especially in social settings, where unspoken cues often take the place of direct communication. When a woman is with her friends, they typically act as a kind of social support system, protective, encouraging, and often more revealing than the woman herself. If you catch a group of women looking in your direction and then exchanging hushed words or giggles, there's a real chance you are the topic of conversation. Also, this kind of reaction is rarely random. It tends to happen when one of them, often the one you're subconsciously already curious about, is expressing some interest in you. Her friends may be teasing her, nudging her emotionally to see what happens next, or simply trying to help her gather the courage to let her feelings show. Additionally, giggling or whispering after making eye contact with you can signal that the group is aware of some internal excitement, usually on behalf of the friend who's interested. Friends often take on the role of emotional translators in these situations, helping to convey what their friend might be too shy or uncertain to express directly. It's a shared moment of connection that, while not always overt, invites further attention. When the behavior continues, glances followed by quiet conversations and suppressed laughter, it strengthens the likelihood that something is being communicated indirectly, a kind of green light. Furthermore, the way her friends behave can also indicate how receptive the group is to your presence. If their demeanor remains open, cheerful, and slightly amused, whenever you're around, it suggests they're not only aware of your existence, but maybe hoping you'll make a move. This is often their way of quietly encouraging interaction while preserving plausible deniability. In essence, they're creating a social bridge between you and their friend, easing the pressure while maintaining a playful atmosphere. While it's easy to dismiss such interactions as simple amusement or coincidence, paying close attention to these group dynamics can provide valuable insight. Women, especially in group settings, often rely on a mixture of subtle signals and shared reactions to communicate interest. The next time you see a group of friends glance your way, then retreat into whispered conversation and barely contained giggles. Don't be too quick to look away. Instead, consider that you may have just received an unspoken invitation, one that encourages you to take the next step with confidence. Number 3, she makes a comment meant for you to hear. In the often nuanced world of social interaction, subtle signals play a powerful role in revealing interest and attraction. One such cue that can indicate a woman may want you to approach her is when she makes a comment meant specifically for you to hear. This action, while not overtly direct, is a deliberate and strategic move designed to create an opening for conversation without the risk of outright rejection or embarrassment. When a woman makes a remark loudly enough for you to overhear, especially in a social setting like a bar, cafe, or party, it's rarely accidental. This kind of comment might sound casual or even spontaneous, such as, "Ugh, I hate drinking alone," or "This place is kinda dead tonight." At first glance, these statements may appear to be offhand observations, but they often serve a deeper purpose. She is inviting engagement, hoping that you'll catch the hint and respond. Also, the tone and delivery of such a comment can offer additional insight. If she glances in your direction while speaking or seems to angle her body toward you, it's likely she's hoping you'll pick up on the invitation. It's her way of signaling openness while maintaining plausible deniability. She can still retreat if the moment doesn't go as hoped, but she's also given you the green light to step into the conversation. Furthermore, this technique works as a low-risk method for her to gauge your interest. If you respond perhaps by agreeing with her statement or jokingly offering a solution, she can assess your reaction and decide if she wants to continue engaging. On the other hand, if you don't take the bait, she hasn't made herself vulnerable in a direct way. It's a subtle dance of communication where both people test the waters without diving in too quickly. Additionally, these comments often carry emotional undertones. A phrase like, "I hate drinking alone," doesn't just express boredom, it suddenly reveals a desire for company, for connection. Similarly, remarking that a venue feels dead implies she's open to something or someone that might liven things up. These aren't just statements about the environment, they're invitations cloaked in observation. Recognizing this kind of signal requires attentiveness and a willingness to engage without hesitation. While not every overheard comment is a personal invitation, those that are usually feel slightly out of place if taken at face value. When paired with other cues, like eye contact or a slight smile, it becomes increasingly clear that she's left the conversational door ajar for you to walk through. In essence, when a woman makes a comment just loud enough for you to hear, she's offering you a chance to connect. She's not asking for a grand gesture or an overly confident approach, just a response that shows you're paying attention. Understanding this form of communication is not just about noticing words, but interpreting the subtle intent behind them. And if you respond with warmth and awareness, you might just find the beginning of an engaging and meaningful interaction. Number 4, her demeanor perks up when you approach or pass by. When trying to determine if a woman is open to being approached, much of the answer lies not in what she says, but in how she behaves. One of the clearest and yet often overlooked signs is the way her demeanor changes when you're nearby. It's not always about direct eye contact or verbal cues. Rather, it's the subtle yet telling shifts in body language and energy that can reveal her interest. A key indicator that she may want you to approach her is how she physically reacts when you enter her space. If you notice that her posture suddenly improves the moment you walk by or draw closer, take it as a potential sign she might sit up a bit straighter, adjust her clothing or hair, or seem more alert. These small adjustments are rarely random. They are often subconscious ways of presenting herself in a more appealing light. This sudden awareness of her own presence typically stems from an awareness of yours. Also, her facial expression can change in a way that signals receptiveness, a smile that wasn't there before you entered the room, or a noticeable softening of her expression could be deliberate attempts to seem more approachable and engaging. This is her way of acknowledging your presence without having to initiate conversation, which may be her subtle invitation for you to take the first step. Additionally, you may observe a change in her energy level. A woman who was previously quiet or reserved might become more animated or expressive once you're nearby. She could start laughing more readily with her friends, speak a bit louder, or seem generally more lively. These energetic shifts are not necessarily for show to everyone around her. They may be a targeted signal meant for you, a way of drawing your attention and standing out in a social setting. Furthermore, it's important to consider the context and consistency of her behavior. If this positive change in demeanor seems to happen regularly when you're in her vicinity, it strengthens the likelihood that her actions are intentional. Women often use subtle cues like these to test the waters and create a welcoming environment for a potential interaction in the end. While interpreting body language can never be an exact science, the shift in a woman's demeanor when you pass by or come closer is one of the more telling signs that she may be interested in being approached. These cues, whether it's improved posture, a spontaneous smile, or a burst of energy, are her way of opening the door just enough to see if you might walk through it. Number 5, she finds an excuse to be near you multiple times. Understanding social cues can be challenging, especially when trying to determine if a woman wants you to approach her. However, one of the more subtle yet telling signs lies in her repeated proximity to you. When a woman finds an excuse to be near you multiple times in a short span, it may be far from accidental. This behavior often signals interest, suggesting that she's creating opportunities for interaction without having to make the first move herself. Imagine you're at a crowded bar. You first notice her standing close to you while you order your drink a bit later as you make your way toward the restroom. She's once again nearby, engaged in conversation or simply lingering with her drink in hand. Then as the night winds down, you spot her near the exit, casually checking her phone or chatting with a friend. Each of these moments could be burst off as random chance. However, when these coincidences stack up, they begin to form a pattern, one that's difficult to ignore. Women often rely on these subtle strategies to gauge mutual interest while preserving a sense of openness and approachability. Also, by placing herself within your line of sight repeatedly, she may be trying to make it easier for you to notice her, feel comfortable, and take the initiative. It's a nonverbal way of saying, "I'm here if you're interested," without saying anything at all. Additionally, her positioning may not be the only clue. If she appears relaxed and open in posture each time she nears you, or even sneaks quick glances in your direction, those are signs worth paying attention to. They reinforce the idea that her presence around you is intentional, not incidental. She could be hoping that you'll pick up on her cues and take the next step toward a conversation. Furthermore, the setting and frequency of these encounters matter. If the room is large, and there are plenty of other places to stand or socialize, her repeated proximity to you becomes even more meaningful. She may be bypassing other spaces or people just to remain in your orbit. This kind of body language, though indirect, often speaks louder than words. Recognizing this behavior is about tuning into the context and understanding that interest can manifest in many nuanced ways. When a woman continually finds reasons to be close to you, it's often her way of creating a low-pressure opening. If you sense this happening, trust your instincts. She may be silently signaling that she wants you to make a move. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for future videos.